and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So, the dreaded C, also known as COVID, all things are being buried here, there, and everywhere because, well, they don't want you to know about the class action lawsuits in your neck of the woods, possibly. There are some class action lawsuits I know in the state of Georgia as of right now. I'm looking at a number of pieces of information related to these lawsuits. There's also information where people are looking for the vaccine side effects. Lots of information there. There's also class action lawsuits about those side effects. There is also compensation programs that you may not know about, but you will need to do your research. There are COVID vaccine compensation programs. There are also a number of lawsuits that lawyers are just collecting information right now on as it relates to the COVID vaccine. People who have already received payouts as a result of that has been going on for quite some time now. And people are also getting paid because, you had no business telling me that I had to, get this and get that done. And, then those who did end up getting some things done had side effects. And then, of course, they want to get paid. So lots of information is out there, but you've got to do your due diligence because, of course, there are companies that don't want you to be suing them over their mandatory policies because they thought that they were going to be protected. And it turns out that some of them are not. Matter of fact, many of them are not. So I don't know if some of you all were aware, but back in August of 2022, there were these healthcare workers that had been awarded $10.3 million, okay, because they were told that they had to take the vaccine, okay? Now, mind you, healthcare workers. The article was on nurse.org, and it was written by Kathleen Gaines, who's a news and education editor. Healthcare workers across the country were mandated to receive the COVID vaccine when it first came to market, with very few exceptions. Unlike the flu vaccine, most healthcare systems did not allow for religious exemptions or many medical exemptions. In fact, there were reports of individuals being required to receive the full series vaccine and boosters, despite life-threatening allergies and a history of severe reactions to vaccines. So the other option was to terminate them. Okay? Well, as a result of the mandate, healthcare professionals across the country filed class action lawsuits, and the first settlement has been reached. That was at North Shore University Health System in Chicago. They agreed to pay $10,337,500 to over 500 current and former employees. Okay, if North Shore had agreed then to follow the law and grant religious exemptions, the matter would have been quickly resolved and it would have cost them nothing, right? But you see, there are more like this. And if you're so busy looking at your favorite celebrity and you're watching your favorite movie and, you're doing all these other things, meanwhile, you have no clue that folks are getting money and lots of it. Okay. There are also those individuals who ended up, companies have been suing each other. Moderna sued Pfizer, okay, and you can look up information about that. There were two former employees who sued ESPN early 2023 over the COVID vaccine mandates, okay. There was also... though, some support coming from the U.S. backing Moderna, and that article came out in February of this year, 2023. The headline is U.S. backs Moderna, says government should face COVID-19 vaccine lawsuit. Okay, interesting, right? And this is by Reuters. The U.S. government should face a patent lawsuit over COVID-19 vaccines, not vaccine maker Moderna, Inc., the Department of Justice told a Delaware federal court on Tuesday. The Justice Department's court filing said the United States should be liable for any infringement of Arbutus Biopharmacore and Genevant Sciences GmbH's patents that took place under Moderna's contract to provide shots for the government's nationwide vaccination effort. Moderna made the same argument last year in an unsuccessful bid to win an early dismissal of the lawsuit. Genevant declined to comment on the filing. Representatives for Moderna, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So you see the fallout, right? The aftermath of everything that people had gone through, it's showing up and showing out. But this isn't showing up, though, on the front pages of all these different search engines. It's not showing up when you turn on, your local news or what have you, you see. And then if it does show up, it's like quick and gone and, on to the next thing. So on nolo.com, the question was asked, can I sue if I'm harmed by the coronavirus vaccine? The way I look at it is this, and this is before I get into Nolo. If you feel like there's something going on and it wasn't going on all before, it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and call an attorney. And make sure you got all your medical records before and after. Okay? On Nolo, the question was asked, and an article was put up here by Leah Easterby. Can I sue if I'm harmed by the coronavirus vaccine? What to know before and after your coronavirus vaccination when it comes to civil liability for potential harm. As the COVID-19 vaccine rollout continues nationwide, consumers are beginning to ask questions about what happens if something goes wrong. We were asking that question long before rollouts. Okay? Many individuals were asking that question, and they were shut up or shut down or told that you're just being difficult and just stick your arm out type of stuff. And so some folks did go ahead and they followed their own, advice, their own thoughts and whatever else. And then there were some side effects, and they didn't want to put it out there that there were some side effects. And then unfortunately, some folks ended up in the hospital and other ones 6 feet deep in their grave. All right. Some people go, oh, well, I don't know anybody. Well, just because you don't know anybody doesn't mean that it's not going on. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that don't have a lot of money, right? You know what I mean? So just because it's your own personal experience, my point is that just because it's your own personal experience doesn't mean that the whole world is like that, right? The whole world isn't broke. Just some people that's around you that's broke. So anyway, yeah, got to make light of some things, but it is dark right now for many individuals. So if something goes wrong with the vaccination process, right? Asking questions and all this, well, can I be able to sue somebody? Well, the intersection of vaccine injuries and the law, first of all, we'll go there. According to the article, the potential COVID-19 vaccine quandary. Since Pfizer and Moderna released their COVID-19 vaccines in late 2020, reports of serious allergic reactions or other problems have been, once again, don't you love this, relatively rare. Yeah, okay. Lots of folks, all over the internet talking about, I didn't have this issue. I mean, what's up? What, guys, no, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just saying. And then the next thing you know, other people, yeah, you know what? I noticed that this, that, and the other, see. So things are starting to manifest itself. And now, folks are going back and forth, talking about, well, did this happen to you? And did that happen to you? And, oh, I went and talked to my doctor. The doctor downplayed it. And, real sad how people are being played like this. At the same time, while the results of vaccine administration have been promising, these medications haven't been subject to the standard timeline of robust clinical trials prior to their approval. This might leave some consumers weighing the risk of vaccination against their chance of contracting the coronavirus. Then we hear all of this. Now let's just jump to the traditional route for vaccine injury compensation. So, because communicable diseases threaten the entire population, the federal government provides a safety net for those who choose to get recommended vaccines. Under normal circumstances, when someone is injured from a vaccination, the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, VICP, sometimes called Vaccine Corp, provides benefits. Can someone note that? Because let me tell you something, it's not just about this COVID-19. But those individuals who you got your baby vaccinated, and Lord knows years ago I did, and I trusted, and I thought that everything was just safe. And I thought that all those other folks out there that was talking about don't get your baby vaccinated and all this, there were some new things that were going on with certain vaccines. Next thing you know, we had all sorts of problems with one particular child that we never had before. Okay? I didn't know anything about any National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, didn't know about how they had been changing up some of the vaccines at that particular time. Thought it should have been breaking news, should have been all over the screen, but they didn't. They suppressed it, okay? And this tends to go on a lot when it comes to any type of vaccine. So, the VICP is a no-fault program designed to compensate people injured by somewhat run-of-the-mill vaccines like childhood inoculations. Okay, so you suspect, you feel like something's not right. National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, VICP. To qualify, here's what you need. Okay, the injury's effects must have lasted more than 6 months after vaccination, or the injury must have resulted in inpatient hospitalization and surgical intervention, or the injury must have resulted in death. All right. From 2006 to 2018, VICP ruled in consumers' favor in 70% of cases. But when a public health emergency requires ramped up vaccine development with less stringent clinical trial protocols, the VICP safety net is limited by the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, PrEP Act. Okay. As an incentive for pharmaceutical companies to meet urgent public health needs, vaccines developed in response to a public health emergency are excluded from the VICP. And this is why some folks are taking it next level and getting some attorneys involved. When the Department of Health and Human Services declared COVID-19 a public health emergency, anyone injured by the newly developed vaccine was automatically excluded from claiming compensation under VICP. Under the PrEP Act, people injured by a vaccine developed in response to the emergency must bring claims under, note this, the Countermeasures Injury Compensation Program. That's the CICP. The CICP provides blanket immunity to drug makers manufacturing the COVID-19 vaccine unless there's a showing of willful misconduct by the manufacturer. To prevail in the program, an injured consumer must present compelling, reliable, valid medical and scientific evidence that the vaccine in question caused the injuries alleged, according to USA Today. Now you see why doctors will downplay this. They don't want to be named in a lawsuit. You see? So, lots of work to be done for some individuals. I am siding, as always, on the victim side, okay? Because, hey, you know, you were just doing the right thing, weren't you? And then now you got all sorts of issues. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a lot that is going on right now. And people are, you know, talking as if, oh, well, you know, it's just this little small segment of the population, and oh, this is so rare, and that, and this, and whatever. But we've got some serious issues going on with regard to lawsuits and so forth. There's 16 states that filed new lawsuit against CMS vaccine mandate. Okay, that started in February 2022. And I know I can hear somebody now saying, I didn't know about all of this. Yeah, that's why I'm going back and, you know, kind of catching some people up on some things. 16 states back then, that was they were pushing to stop the federal COVID-19 vaccine mandate for healthcare workers nearly a month after the Supreme Court upheld the regulation. The 16-state coalition, led by Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, on Friday filed a complaint with the U.S. District Court of the Western District of Louisiana seeking to stop the rule's enforcement in the state before the next compliance deadline goes into effect. You see, so there was this push behind the scenes like, look, enough already. Let's just stop with this mandate, But, yeah. COVID-19 vaccine requirement applies to roughly 10.4 million healthcare workers at 76,000 medical facilities, according to the Biden administration. Long-term care providers have said mandates make it harder for them to find and keep workers, but have steadily encouraged employees to get vaccinated. And this is what happened in every industry that was requiring vaccines. That's why when you were sitting up there wondering, hey, my favorite goodie over at the store hasn't, arrived, it's taking so long. Look, there were truck drivers that were like, you can take this job and shove it because I'm not about to be getting anything in my body. Okay? Don't even know what it is and all this other stuff. And then there were others, the firemen and the police officers. Okay? I mean, but got to keep it quiet because we need more people to get vaccinated, because we got this situation. And so, yeah. And some people are still not returning to certain workplaces and industries because, are you vaccinated? No. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you really need to be vaccinated. So, you see. And so people have had to change their titles, the things that they went to school for in some, places because no, I refuse. I don't want to do, you see. So there, once again, do your due diligence, research these things. Don't just look at what you want to look at. Look at everything that's being impacted, all across the board. And then there's a couple other headlines that I just wanted to read off, okay? Something old, something new. So the judge, back in July of last year, the judge over there on the WashingtonPost.com website tossed a lawsuit challenging FBI's COVID testing policy, okay? The experts said Brickema's ruling was significant because it covered coronavirus testing requirements, okay? So you've got various companies that are being challenged, not just FBI, but there's been other companies too, that their testing policy, some of them, you got to, test each week, or you got to test, if you're sick and you're out. Some companies have changed and said, look, there's no more COVID pay and all this. What you're going to do is use your PTO time, your vacation time, or whatever you need to do if you're sick. All right. So things have changed with many of these major companies. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sued the media outlets. Okay. And this was something that took place recently. Back in January of 2023, the anti-vaccine conspiracy theorist, that's what they tend to call him in the news, claims it's illegal for news consortiums to label his talking points as misinformation. And this is another thing that a lot of individuals, especially doctors, have been up in arms about. You put something up about your side effects, what's going on, you put something up about a family member has passed away, and there's some suppression that goes on. There are those people that have gone so far as to flag things as misinformation. How's it misinformation if the lady is listing all of the things that is wrong with her and she knows it's as a result of the vaccine that she took? Okay. So, until it happens to you where you're censored for any number of reasons, it just rolls off your back. You don't care. But there are many people who care, because these are loved ones that we're talking about, people who are near and dear to them, and that they only did what they thought was the right thing, and now they're suffering the consequences as a result. And when they try to talk about some things, they're shut down, shut out, or they're, bullied or told that, no, do you really think that's because of the vaccine? No, I don't think so. So anyway, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he had he ended up joining 10 other plaintiffs in a suit that claims the news outlets are illegally boycotting right-wing conspiracy theories by engaging in an industry partnership to fight misinformation. The nearly 100-page complaint claims that the Trusted News Initiative, started by the BBC in late 2020, violates the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, which prohibits industry cartels, price fixing, and other anti-competitive behavior. According to Kennedy's complaint, prominent news organizations and social media platforms conspired to label right-wing talking points about COVID vaccines quack. COVID-19 remedies like there's a couple names here, and some of you all know those names that have been floating around. And Hunter Biden's laptop as misinformation, because the outlets pushing them represent a competitive threat to legacy news organizations. So, there's a lot of things that go on, when folks don't want information to go out. And so they're fighting back, they're pushing back, and they're like, look, don't call my information disinformation when I'm just trying to help people out, Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, okay? So some of you all, I hope that you will just take the time out to look at all facets of what's out there and be prepared for anything that might be going on with you or a loved one, and someone's trying to, suppress it and say, no, that I don't think so. That's not what's happening with you. Are you sure? Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's, noise pollution. Maybe it's climate change. Maybe it's everything but, you see. Note what these doctors are telling you if you have made your doctor appointment. Also pull, your records the way things were prior to, just have everything ready. So when you speak to an attorney, they're like, okay, do you have evidence? Do you have information? Can you show me this? Can you show me that? Have you already, filed a complaint, this sort of thing. Just make sure that you are ready. Okay, well, I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube, NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving on this channel, and thank you.